we were getting older, you know, and as the popularity came, I mean, we were in high school, you know, everybody started to, you know, like, oh, you guys are 744, blah, 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 we played a show last night, blah, blah, blah. You know, it started getting more into like, oh, let's party. So we would play a show, and afterwards we would just want to go to the party, or we would want to play a show quickly just to go to the party, or that's kind of how it started going downhill from there, because we'd rather party than just play the music. And I think we lost sight of what we originally started the band for, you know, just to make music, have a good time. Because in the end it just turned out being, we just wanted to party, get drunk, hang out with people.
I don't know if it was junior year. We'd probably been a good band for a year. We had established ourselves. And I remember, you know, we'd all party, you know, we all drink except for Sammy, and, you know, some of us smoked, and we decided as a band we wouldn't do that, you know, during practices or even before a show. We would wait, you know, after we'll all go party. And it started going to the part where we would do that before the show. Someone would do it during a show, or, you know, it just became a habit of that in our performance. You know, I'm sure it didn't change, but that wasn't the point of it, you know. It was just, we're in a band, let's do this first, party later, you know.
As a youth, you know, it's very up and down, you know, everything's being thrown at you so quickly. Partying, you know, drinking, drugs, you know, smoking, you know, violence, you know, you're just trying to do something and trying to prove something. And it just got to, you know, everyone differently. As far as for me, it was just like, I don't know, I was a pothead. I love to smoke weed. I love to be with the homies and, you know, smoke, drink, you know, tag. And it started, you know, that started being more important to me than the music, than the band, you know.
At that time, the practicing was a little bit more tough. We weren't as concentrated and focused on the music, you know. We were just wondering what we're going to do in an hour to go have fun. The songwriting, you know, it definitely progressed, but it was, you know, lazy, you know. We would make songs and we just scratch them all out and do it over. Whereas, you know, we should have already had it going, but we just weren't fixated on it, and it didn't matter anymore.
Everything started getting different for everybody. It was something that was holding us together before, because that was falling apart, as in the music. You know, once that was starting to slip away from us, we were kind of starting to slip away from each other.
Carlo, I guess, you know, at the time, he was probably the main focus, where, you know, he just didn't care anymore. He didn't care about practice, shows, you know, nothing. There's times we had to fend for ourselves, you know. 2 minutes right before we're supposed to play a pretty big show, he would finally show up, you know, the high, drunk, you know, it didn't matter. And it just affected everything. It got stressful, and then you could tell, you know, people were just like, oh, you guys, you know, you're losing it, you're not getting it together. And I think that's the one thing that, you know, bands at that time, you know, they could establish themselves, but they don't keep it together, and we were slowly just kind of falling apart.
This was First Blood, Death Before Dishonor, huge bands. You know, these bands were bands, like I said, that we would want to go see, that we would pay any day to go see them. And we were on the bill with them, you know. Not only were we on the bill, we were on a high spot. For example, like, we were like 1 band, 2 bands right before Death Before Dishonor, so we were so stoked to play this show.
I had to work that day. I would get off at 5, and the show was like in Rialto. So I got there, you know, late. There was traffic, and we weren't able to play at the spot that we were supposed to play.
We were texting him because we all showed up there when the show was first starting, and we kept texting him, figuring out what was going on. He told us when he left work, and for some reason, instead of going from work to the show, he went back to Downey to hang out with Rosie, and I guess they were there for a while. Took them a while to get back to the show. By the time they got to the show, our set time was already passed over, and we were all kind of pissed off because that was with 2 of our favorite bands. It was Death Before Dishonor and First Blood, and we really wanted to play that show, and we were kind of pissed off. Everybody was kind of pissed off that we didn't get to play, even though the venue told us, hey, if you want to play after First Blood, you guys can go ahead and do that. We didn't feel that was right because it was First Blood. You know, we shouldn't be playing after that.
I remember like we were outside talking and like, you know, like started getting heated and the situation was getting intense. Like him and Sammy started going at it.
Strangely, back then I was the shy one and I didn't really speak up that much. But as soon as Carlo parked into the parking lot, I went off on him. And I don't even know where it came from. I just went off about how, you know, you didn't care about the band and it was, you know, it's your fault that we didn't get to play it. I honestly don't know if you really had other issues going on at that time, but I was kind of pissed off because that was towards the time when he started getting into things that he probably shouldn't be in. And I just saw that was kind of the cracking point to where, you know, other stuff is getting into the way and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
He came and we just looked at him like, dude, you just ruined everything that we've worked for this day. And, you know, his mindset was totally, you know, him against the world at the time. And he was just like, nah, man, this is your guys' fault. This is your guys' fault. You know, I didn't do anything. And we just couldn't, we'd look at him, you know, we couldn't believe where he was at in his life. And that was the end of it.
That was basically the day where we just all said, like, fuck it. Like, it's over, you know. It kind of it was the last straw for us. We were just walking on a tightrope at that moment. And that was just the thing that pushed us all over the edge.
Whatever. So I got there, and they were mad. I still enjoyed the show. You know, I was dancing to First Blood. I remember on one of the, it was a two-step or something, I don't know, someone kicked me from the back. You know, whatever, my first reaction was like, dude, you know, like, why'd you kick me, you know, what? I turned around and I confronted, I was like, what's up, like, why are you kicking me? I remember the guy saying, you know, oh, I could kick whoever I want. And I was just like, nah. I remember I was like, nah, you can't kick me, dog. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was just like, what's up? You know, he came at me and he pushed me. And, you know, I guess he thought I was going to push back or something, but I don't, back then at least, you know, my first reaction was just like, all right, deck this fool. So he pushed me and I socked him. And that's when he came after me. I socked him clean though. I remember his look in his face. He was just like, did this fool just hit me? And he came after me. I don't remember getting hit by him. He was slow. We ended up falling on the floor or something. But I remember his friends. He had all his homies there, you know, and I had my homies there too. But all his homies came in. They started hitting me, you know, jumping me or whatever. And I remember being on the floor and I look over to the side and I remember seeing all my band members right there just watching, you know, just watching, you know, all the band members, the ones that, you know, would sing the chants, you know, and even other Downey homies were right there just watching, not doing anything. And, you know, at that time, you know, from what our lyrics were about and what we were representing as a band and as, you know, the whole hardcore scene, to me it was just a spit in the face. It was just like, we're not down, you know, we're not down to back up the homies, not when it's these many people against you or whatever. But I mean, the whole thing was, no matter what, you know, we're friends, we stand, you know, we stand up for ourselves and we back each other up. And I remember just that moment, looking over and no one moved except for one person, Josh, you know, my best friend who always came through. He's the only one that came through and was getting people off me and you know, helping me. And it was a spit in the face, you know, like a kick, you know, to the head. It was just like everything wasn't real, you know, everything was fake. Everything that I stood for, you know, everything that I represented, that I would back up without any hesitation, you know, it was just like thrown out the window, basically. Like, I'm the only one that's real, you know, I'm the only one that's standing up for this in this band, you know. I'm the only one that's putting it down, you know, and and backing up our lyrics, and just, you know, this band is just me, you know, like I'm living it, I'm living our lyrics. I don't know, it just hit me hard, because I mean, it was my life, you know, hardcore was my life.